Welcome to our deep dive into Google's current predicament, titled Google's Identity Crisis: Why the Research Titan is Struggling to Lead. We begin with the missing verb, highlighting Google's shifting role in the digital world. For over 2 decades, Google wasn't just a company. It was a verb. It represented the infinite library of human knowledge. It was the most successful utility in the history of the internet. But as we sit here in 2026, that verb is changing. When we Google something today, we aren't just finding information. We are navigating an obstacle course of AI-generated overviews, sponsored clutter, and SEO-optimized junk. Google didn't stop being successful. They are a $2 trillion titan. They didn't stop being smart. They employ the most elite engineering talent on the planet. But they have developed a utility gap. Today, the company that invented the future is struggling to live in it. This brings us to the great equalizer. Google's original genius wasn't just a better algorithm, it was the democratization of the digital storefront. Before Google, global marketing was a playground for the elite. Google changed the math. They proved you could build the world's biggest tech empire by catering to the little guy. A shopkeeper in a Tier 2 city in India could point customers to his door via Google Maps for zero cost. A developer in a garage could use Google's boring but stable engineering, tools like MapReduce, Bigtable, and the Go programming language to build systems that scaled to millions. Google succeeded because they provided instant, tangible utility to the masses. They were the internet's plumbing. They made the little guy visible, and in doing so, they became untouchable. To understand Google's current crisis, we have to look at the pioneer's paradox. Critics often claim Google just buys success, pointing to acquisitions like YouTube, Android, or DeepMind. But that ignores their true contribution, pure research, which leads us to the transformer paradox. In 2017, 8 Google researchers published the paper that changed the world, Attention is All You Need, introducing the transformer, the core architecture inside every modern AI, from ChatGPT to Claude. Google literally invented the engine of the AI revolution. So why didn't they lead it? For 5 years, Google treated the transformer as a back-end optimization, a way to make search results 5% more accurate. While they were first to the lab, they were last to the market. They were so focused on protecting their existing ad revenue and managing reputational risk that they left the door wide open. When OpenAI released ChatGPT, they didn't invent a new science. They simply productized Google's own research. Next, let's look at the culture of not losing, which stifles innovation at scale. With nearly 180,000 employees and a hiring process that is famously grueling, Google has the highest concentration of talent in the world. But talent is often trapped in institutional friction. When you become a $2 trillion incumbent, your priority shifts from winning to not losing. Every new feature must be vetted by layers of legal, policy, and risk management teams. Consider the coding gap. Google's DeepMind builds AlphaCode, a technical marvel that can outperform humans in programming competitions. It's a grand prize for the lab, while the competitors, like Microsoft, and startups like Cursor or the OpenClaw ecosystem, ship shovels, simple agentic tools that developers use every single day to write code faster. Google has become the Xerox PARC of the 2020s. They invent the GUI, the mouse, and the Ethernet, while other companies build the Macintosh. Now let's examine the burden of billions and the inherent scale paradox that comes with it. When you are a startup, you can move fast and break things. You have everything to gain and very little to lose because there isn't much to break yet. But Google is the ecosystem. When you serve 4 billion people, a 1% error rate isn't a technical hiccup. It's a crisis for 40 million users. We saw the reality of this in early 2026, when inaccurate health advice in AI overviews led to a wave of dangerous medical misinformation, proving that when you are the world's primary source of truth, hallucinations aren't just bugs, they are existential liabilities. There is also the regulatory target. As a $2 trillion incumbent, Google lives under a microscope. Every new product must pass through a gauntlet of responsible AI governance and legal red tape. We've seen the alternative. In March 2026, OpenAI had to shutter its highly anticipated Sora 2 video platform, not because the tech didn't work, but because of the legal soup regarding likeness rights and the collapse of its $1 billion licensing deal with Disney. Google's slowness isn't always laziness. Sometimes it's a calculated defense against bringing the whole house down. The cost of being first is often lower than the cost of being wrong. This brings us to the horizon gap, illustrating a growing disconnect in where Google is focusing its efforts. Google is obsessed with moonshots. They are arguably the world leader in quantum computing. This is revolutionary, but it is a Horizon 3 technology. It won't help that garage owner in Italy manage his inventory today. It won't help a startup founder build a better app tomorrow. While Google looks at the stars, the rest of the tech world is looking for a better shovel. Smaller companies are shipping Horizon 1 tech, agentic AI, and low-cost utility tools at a velocity Google can't seem to match. The little guy is not looking for a quantum computer. They are looking for the next Equalizer. And for the first time in 20 years, they are looking somewhere other than Google to find it. In conclusion, Google is not failing in the traditional sense, but they are facing a profound identity crisis. They are a financial juggernaut and a research titan. They were the company that made the world's information accessible and useful. They were the pioneers who built the infrastructure of the modern web, but they have to do more than just publish the best research papers or defend their ad business. They have to remember why they became a verb in the first place. It wasn't because they were the biggest. It was because they were the most useful. The question for the next decade is not whether Google can survive. It's whether they can still lead.